It is the 12th of May, 2019, and is Bitcoin just about to launch the altcoins right now? Let's take a look at these charts. Just a quick look at our disclaimer. You could pause the video to read through it or find a link in the description down below. Let's jump right into sort of a randomized look at all of the alts just because of the price chart pattern in Bitcoin right now. And as it is making this potential top formation, I'm going to monitor it and take a look at these altcoins and talk about them versus our trading plan. Let's go over to Bitstamp and take a look at the price of Bitcoin. This morning, I did a video at whatever o'clock in the morning that was, 5 o'clock in the morning or something, because Bitcoin was making this top formation. And as it was doing it, all of our indicators were really standing out as saying top formation, where the MACD indicator was, diverging. The on-balance volume was weaker. The relative strength index had diverged as we had these higher highs. So everything was talking top formation. And at the same time, we were able to see that Litecoin and Ethereum had made different tops at the very same time. Like Bitcoin made a high and then a higher high, where Ethereum over here and Litecoin made lower highs at that very same time. So we checked the indicators underneath those charts as well, and they were saying the same thing. They were saying top formation. So this was a good short sell opportunity, and we identified that this line here now would be resistance as prices were going up. If prices are going to come up and touch this line now is resistance all the way along. And we'll watch to see what's happening with that. So as Bitcoin is making this formation now, and I clear the stuff off, this is way too short of a time frame for anything except scalping trades. Really, to be trading out of a position here and looking to get back in is generally difficult trading, especially when we have a move that's going so up big like this. It's just a kind of a lucky thing to be there looking at the indicators at just the right time when it happened to make a top formation. The indicators may have made that pattern all the way each time here, but I just nailed it perfectly on this one. So now what's going on? I think it's still going way higher yet. I think this is our new trend line. This was a temporary detail, and that it's still going to go significantly higher. Let me stop and take a look at the chat over here. I actually didn't share this in our Discord either, but we'll grab a few more people. And what I'm seeing in the altcoins now are some really good setups. Here's Ethereum US dollar. So I do want to take a look at that one later. But right now, let's go back over here and take a look at some of these alts, because we're starting to see some pretty good setups. Ripple was one that one of the guys on our thread just put out. He posted it in our Discord and asked about this. And I said, well, for my own part, my first reply, I look at this, and in 2 seconds, I see this isn't a market I can trade at all. There's no 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. We're on the 12-hour time frame. There's no way there's an exponential moving average crossover. Haven't broken the downtrend line. But there is a different way of looking at this, because we're looking at this exponential downtrend, right? This is the same thing as a hyperbolic parabolic. So this is a reverse parabola. Really, it is. And when we're looking for these capitulation lows, there should be a pattern that we're looking to see to prove that it is a capitulation low. First of all, we get this parabolic downtrend. Next, we see a big move up on a good strong volume. Next, it should come back and consolidate in some formation that gives us a tip, a point to be able to make a decision on. So this is what we're watching for. And I don't know if this scribble is going to be the right scale. I don't think it's going to make a move up like that high, but it really could. It's done these wicks before, and then it's consolidated and fell back. So I don't want to be, unless I'm jumping in right now, right out of this breakout of this formation, just as the guys in our chat were talking about it, because it's a 1, 2, 3 formation. If you're getting into it right here, all right, then you are good and golden so long as you're there to babysit this trade and put your stop loss above it as soon as you get the trade going, because it's just so risky. It's so volatile that only in the perfect moment could you jump into this. If it's already started to move, then you've missed that perfect moment. You can't swing the tennis racket at the ball after the ball goes by, even if it looks good. So now we're going to be watching these alts for this kind of capitulation takeoff here. So if you're got a market you want me to go through, let me know. The main thing I want to review is the price of Bitcoin. Zoom into this. Let's go to Bitstamp. I've started to use Bitstamp and Bitfinex in the background. So then I'm getting more of a picture on this. So let's zoom out to the 5-year view. In the 5-year view, the MACD indicator is strong. Our on-balance volume is pretty good, but nowhere near really strong yet. When we pull this up and we start to look back at where we had some big moves in Bitcoin, it had much stronger volume than we have yet. So if we haven't had this volume yet, then we haven't had the full price move yet. I guess one thing I wanted to look at last time was the long-short ratio. Bitcoin long short. Bitcoin long. Okay, that's something I'll have to get prepared. And I've seen those long and short charts saying that there's still a lot of short traders in the market, that they have not been squeezed. They haven't closed their positions yet. They're holding a short position, paying the interest on it, hoping Bitcoin comes back so they can close it at less of a loss. Because Bitcoin's gone on such a tear, it's normal for a market to pull back, isn't it? And so this, the trader said, the psychology of holding a losing trade, and I think every one of us has been a victim to it, but to know it separate from yourself and to study it so that you can recognize it in yourself as you're holding a losing trade, then you can start to prevent those things from happening, I think, so often, or if they're happening often. So the main thing is that the shorts haven't been closed enough yet. There isn't been the FOMO, the fear of missing out, really come into this market yet. We don't see that volume spike coming in yet. So on the 5-year view, we're seeing strength. The RSI is looking good. The one thing I was watching for the last big bull run was the RSI on the 5-year time frame. You can see the uptrend, and it took 18 months for this uptrend to fade before it had a pullback. And even still then, it stayed right at the top all the way along through this bull market. But through that 18-month period, the RSI pulled back. It ran up and pulled back, ran up and pulled back. And so far, we've had something similar in that we're having that bit of an uptrend. But if I use this as a base and run it all the way up, say, for the next 18 months, and then we can see that we haven't had that pullback yet, the pullback in that RSI. So there should be, theoretically, there should be something that coordinates to. If I pull this chart back so we can actually see what that does, well, we had a run up and then it made an ascending wedge triangle without much of a pullback. Even though the RSI pulled back, the prices didn't pull back much. They made a big long ascending wedge triangle. And then we had a run up as the RSI poked up. And then as the RSI came back, we did have a pretty good pullback and retest. This is interesting then. So if we're pulling into this one, how is this similar to where we are in the current chart? Because we just did a run up and we've made this little bit of a pattern, maybe not on this time, not as much time frame. This is the weekly. So this took a while for this to shape up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks for this to shape up here. Good to know. I'm going to go back to the current time and zoom on this so that we're starting to get a perspective on how many weeks of movement we might be going for here. But for me, it seems like more. It seems like this Fibonacci coming up to the $11,000 level or the $9,400, $9,100 level, and they just coincide with support and resistance perfectly. But it seems like could just step right up there, especially if we get this trading volume coming in that we haven't seen from before. I always bury the chat here. Okay, no worries. So zooming into Bitcoin, it's going to be taking off more from here. And if Bitcoin is going to be taking off more from here, as it's stepping up now, looking into the 15-minute view, zooming into the 5-minute view, you can see it's all pulling away. The on-balance volume is getting stronger. The RSI is picking up. The MACD is opening up. So on this time frame as well, where we saw at this top formation, the RSI, the relative strength was lower. The unbalanced volume, I'm sorry. The RSI was lower. The MACD was crossing lower. Now we've seen a turnaround in that here. So we do have the bullish divergence in the RSI. We do have the bullish divergence in all three of these indicators right through these 2 points of testing. So if Bitcoin is doing that, wrong chart. Bitcoin dominance. Where's the timestamps on this chart? Okay, I moved there we go. 3-month view. So we've had a really good run up here with Bitcoin dominance. And as Bitcoin topped, so did the dominance, and it made a bit of a top formation here. Now, what did the altcoin market cap do? It pulled back as Bitcoin made its top formation. And so by going through this review at the beginning and getting a perspective on what Bitcoin is going to do, what I'm thinking it's going to do, and then zooming in to see the moment, to see that it is still continuing on this uptrend, the parabolic uptrend that we are starting to work our way through here. Clear all this stuff off. This is definitely parabolic, and it seems to have more juice to go from here. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, this kind of formation. Until we start to, and okay, so this is crazy. This is crazy. But if you didn't jump in on this one, on our moving average crossover and on this breakout here, and then just be holding your position as it's going along, and we weren't there to trade it, or there's a million life circumstances that may have prevented you, even if you knew about the trading. So it's the same thing with Bitcoin from 2011 till now, right? It fooled me, fooled everybody. Who knew it would have really gone up this high? But so the old saying comes in: fool me once, shame on me. No, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now I don't want to be fooled on this pattern here again. If I was not prepared for it in the past, if I didn't pay attention, or I didn't learn about it, I didn't know this 1, 2, 3 pattern, this ascending wedge triangle, and what it meant, what it could mean, then now I do. I have the example right in front of us. So with that lead up, let's go to Ethereum, Bitcoin, and that's probably want to go to Ethereum versus US dollar here. Long-term look at Ethereum US dollar. There's the weekly view. Let's look at the daily view. Now you're seeing the pattern. Now this pattern is jumping out to you. This 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, the ascending wedge triangle that's setting up here. And we've already seen, well, we've seen in the background what Bitcoin did out of its ascending wedge triangle when it made this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. Let's take a look at the indicators on this one. Clear off those details. 5-year view. So this is the MACD has already crossed over and still in a nice steady uptrend from where it is. And this will spread apart and go much stronger. We see that we had some on balance selling all the way down to here. And that has changed to a very bullish divergence, and the RSI is in a bullish divergence as well. So if I open up this RSI, you can see how strong of a move up this is from the bottom right to the 50% level pretty much. Whereas we look at the price and it is only just moving up a slight bit compared to. So there's a real divergence where the RSI is showing quite a bit of strength underneath more than the price is. So I like that chart a lot, that 1 year view. Going to the 3-month view so that we can see these same indicators again. And what are they telling us? Nice steady trickle of buying going on. Beautiful. Nice steady trickle of buying going on. The recent bit is the RSI is getting stronger, and so is the MACD. So supporting that this is moving up and accelerating as it's moving up right here. Woo, which is phenomenal. Fantastic. One of the things that we do on this channel is the bull market watch. Here's our list of all sorts of cryptocurrency tools and that I use all the time. And you can get this report. Let me grab you the link and put it into the chat so that you can go and check out this report. Here is the Google Doc. And I'm going to open this up now and work with it. This is the 2019 bull market watch. Started off in January, and we started going through it, and you can see the color coding as it went from gray to yellow to green. This was all of our buy signals. And then if I had done through April, we would have had green to blue to gray as these markets all closed. And they did. In our trading alerts package, they all closed through the first 2 weeks of April. So all of our cryptocurrency profits were locked in, made 1,200% gains over the December, January, February, March trading period with 184 trades in our trading alerts package. And after going through the trading alerts package and narrowing down which were the very best trades, which ones made the best profit and took the least amount of time, we're going to be focusing on those again by doing this same strategy day by day and filling this detail out. So this can become a resource for yourself that you can be coming in and checking on to see where are these markets. And you'll be able to just see it by color coding. You'll see if it's going from gray to yellow to green, it's something that has gone from neutral to an alert to a buy signal. And we'll track them all here. I didn't do the report here today, but it's looking pretty pessimistic. And it's going to be pretty much red and orange across the line, which means we haven't gone to neutral, we haven't gone to alert, and we haven't gone to go yet on any of these markets. So there's going to be that stage to go through. Now what we're watching for Bitcoin, since we've already gone to green, we're watching for it to top out and give us a blue when it's a cold fish to get out. And we'll continue to watch through all these things. So hopefully some of these resources are helpful for you in this report as well. I want to go through and see what is actually moving right now. BTT, CELR, Matic, all of these three markets here have such short time history that when I look at the charts, there's really almost no technical analysis you can do. And I know that if I'm looking at FET and DLT and Nano, they're coming off such terrible bottom formations that even though they've come up 7% in a day, it's the type of trade that takes up too much time to scalp that little bit of a profit. I want to find something that takes up less time, but I want to look at these charts. So Matic, BTT, and CELR. Binance, get rid of the favorites, go down to Matic, LM, Matic. So very short time frame. It is going up, but it not the kind of 1, 2, 3 bottom formation I want to trade. We're on the 1 hour time frame, so it's valid. If you're watching and watching and watching and watching for the downtrend line to break, it's such a perfectly straight down trend line. Oh, there's the downtrend line break. We've got a number 2 point. We've got a number 3 point. The moving averages have crossed over. This would be a buy entry signal. You really could trade it as a buy entry signal out of this pattern. But when you're trading such a short time frame thing like this, you've got to be there to babysit this right off the bat. When it starts to get up a little bit above your entry position, you put your stop loss in. Now you're golden, and you can let this go and see what happens out of it. And so there is a valid trade pattern there. And it may be that many of the other coins are giving us these valid small time frame patterns that really don't match the simple trading plan package that we're mostly focusing on. BTT and CEL seller. So if you're in the chat, if you're watching along, give it a thumbs up if you're finding this information interesting. But ask in the chat which ones you would like me to take a look at, because this is more of a just hanging out and checking the prices as they're going, because I want to watch this unfold with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And as it's unfolding, I want to record the indicators underneath them and watch the divergences in the indicators as this is all unfolding, because as this goes up and starts to make a top formation again, I'll be watching for that and looking to put on another short position out of a break top like that, and just continue to close it after a big whomp down, close that position. It's not meant to be a long-term position. I don't want to hold a short position. For me, they are, do it as a quick thing and you get out of it as quick as you can, and then watch for the real stuff. And we'll see how that goes once we turn around into a different bear phase. But right now it's such a bull phase, I don't want to be short. My thinking. And I also want to be watching Ethereum and Litecoin, because they are both making those monumental bottom formations. Monumental bottom formation here in Ethereum. And I am anticipating a run to $400 as fast as Bitcoin has gone from its last move up here. So over the next month and a half, so from May through June, I'm expecting that Ethereum will hit the $400 range. And if we go to Litecoin US dollar, it is also making a stellar, a wonderful looking bottom formation. A very good trend line here to be watching all the way along now too, because a break below that trend line would be a place to be watching for a pullback, a retracement. So always as it's going up, I'm always looking for a top formation. Whenever it's coming down, I'm always looking for the bottom formation. And then when I find it, sit and wait. We'll see how that turns out for the other markets. Close this off. So Litecoin, zoom into the 3-month view. It definitely looks like it's bounced off these trend lines and is showing strength and going up. Same with Ethereum US dollar through the same time frame. Strength going up, and it's accelerating strength. The slope of this line keeps increasing all the way along. There's your parabolic action. It's the ascending bottom triangle at the same time, ascending wedge. Let's pull it back. There we go. So that's Ethereum. Okay, I thought it was still working with Litecoin. Litecoin, Bitcoin. Litecoin versus Bitcoin. Litecoin versus US dollar. So because Litecoin versus US dollar is making this great pattern and looking like it's going to be blasting off, while Bitcoin is also blasting off, what does that mean for Litecoin versus Bitcoin? It's a difficult one to trade when you're looking at them back and forth, wondering what the split is going to be between them. And I wish these charts give us a chance or the way to plot the spread between markets. And I know in commodities markets, they have the spread between corn and wheat that people trade. They trade that spread so that it's a lower risk vehicle that you know it's not going to go a huge move, but you can be trading a seasonal spread in it that goes a few percentages for you. And this is a really important spread to be watching. It's one of the reasons I'm pulling up the Bitcoin dominance and the altcoin market cap back and forth and referring to those two, and then going back to the overall price of Bitcoin in the background here and the overall price of the altcoin. So right now Bitcoin is going up, Litecoin is going up, but not as fast as Bitcoin. So that's what this chart is showing us, that Litecoin is not going up as fast as Bitcoin, as is making this bottom formation, this last leg of the bottom formation. And it's the same thing with Ethereum. This last leg of that bottom formation was formed differently. The first leg was similar to Bitcoin. Then we had this move on the 1st of April, and things changed. Right after that, there was a switch in momentum on all of everything. So I'm still watching for that switch of momentum back the other way. And that'll mean either, well, if the shift in momentum is the other way, then they're matching again. So then everything will move together. Ethereum versus Bitcoin, similar pattern where this is dropping off pretty wicked, but Ethereum versus US dollar is in an uptrend. It's just the difference here, and you can see this big iceberg on top. That's the difference that is showing up negative in Ethereum versus Bitcoin prices. So overall, I think Ethereum is going to be outperforming Bitcoin. As Bitcoin hesitates a bit, Ethereum is going to be really taking off. It just looks phenomenal. And when that happens, then Ethereum versus Bitcoin is going to shift directions the other way. So we'll keep watching for this top formation and these bottom formations. It will work out together. And every time they're doing this now, we'll be watching for that to happen and expecting it not to. So we have a 1, 2, 3 formation. I'm going to expect that it's going to do a pump and then it's going to fade back. It's going to do a pump and it's going to fade back. And I'm not going to trust it until it makes a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation that starts to stretch out into the 12-hour bars. And it'll give us that. It'll take that time and it'll do that for us. How's it going, Limar? Good to have you along. I'm going to get a glass of water and be right back. So the big question is, are the altcoins just about to blast off? Is Bitcoin going to fade back? Are they going to be blasting off, and how can we tell, and what can we trade? The main premise of this trading show is for me to focus on my trading plan and to share it with anybody who's wanting to learn it, because it's done so well for me, even over this last bull run. From December to beginning of April, this trading plan did some fantastic captures of these bottom formations and got out of the trades at the right time. So then it turned itself into a Bitcoin holding instead of an altcoin holding. And now we're waiting for more altcoin signals to come in for this trading plan. And for this trading plan, which is a safer, less work, less active trading method, much slower, where you have an entry signal and months later you'll have an exit signal. We're really not looking for day trades. So there's no day trades in this. There's no trading signals according to our main trading plan. However, the same trading system works if you're working the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, no matter what time frame you're working it. I just prefer to use it on the 12-hour bar time frame so that I'm trying to get myself away from some of the market manipulation that happens, trying to get away from the fake out breakouts that happen out of a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation that was looking fantastic. So maybe this could have been a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation that looks great. You buy into it, but it turns out to be, you would be stopped out and having to watch again for the next one. So instead of jumping in and getting out, jumping in and getting out, and having to pay attention at this time frame, by moving back those to the 12-hour bars, these kind of blips don't jump up on the radar. They're not something to take action on. Other people may trade them and do fantastic. They may have a method for it. But I try to stay away from those now, my own self. So we can identify these ones. And I like to identify them and then go over the the indicators underneath it to verify so that we can see there we go, the divergence in the on balance volume. So we had dumps here, less strong. Now it's starting to turn straight positive. We've got the RSI showing a divergence, kind of. It's showing strength at any rate out of this position. And the MACD indicator is also showing some strength. So we can zoom out a bit and start to see more confirmation of this kind of turnaround as the prices are coming down and hesitating here. And for my own part, there's still, I'm not going to be jumping into any of these trades on the alts until they take the time to make a bottom and turn around. It's going to take a few more days at least. This is the 1-day chart. So we've got a few more days for my own trading plans to shape up on this. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to take off, and it doesn't mean there's not going to be great 1, 2, 3 bottom formations here. So like to track them. Let's go back to our big four. So Bitcoin is showing strength here. We're all on the 30-minute views. Litecoin is looking good. Ethereum is looking good. And earlier today, when I did the video of this top formation, and we caught that just perfect, it was there at the right time. I was pointing out this little wee divergence where we have higher highs here, and here we have the same time frame but lower highs, and the same thing in Litecoin, lower highs. And so I was wondering about this, and I zoomed out to the 1-day view. Let me zoom in. So I zoomed out to the 1-day view, and I started to look, hey, this is like some of these candle experts would probably have some input on this. What kind of candle is this? What is this candle formation shaping up here right now on the daily bars? And you can answer that in the chat. If you know what kind of candle formation that is, if you're a candle aficionado, what kind of candle pattern is this? Because we have two of them here, the same, on the daily. We've got this big candle, then we've got the red one that's inside it, and then we've got the green one inside that one. Like they're all three inside each other. And I'm not a candlestick trader, but everything you learn is all good. So I don't throw anything out, but it's not my main thing. Now, if I can make some sense of it and get some ideas out of what to do out of specific patterns, I'm all in. I love to learn new things. Here's another example of a big candle, the red one, and then a consolidation inside, and then another big green candle. So if that might repeat, then we should be in for another big green candle up. Hey, crypto homie, good to have you along. I'd be happy to look at basic attention token. Does anybody here have candlestick skills? Do you know what this would be called? How's this one? So we have a big green one, a small red one, and a small green one inside that one. All four of these markets are giving a very similar candlestick pattern. So here we are looking at Ethereum US dollar showing strength. Love to see it. Let's go find basic attention token over on Binance. Basic attention token. 1 year view. Start off with the big term picture, long term picture. So it did come back further than I thought, actually. As it was coming back, we did a video when it was just at these tops, and it broke down even further, deeply into these, and then really rebounded, really nasty. 1 month view. Okay, so here it is. This is the capitulation. There's the parabolic down move. There's the capitulation bounce, and then the consolidation. Very nice. And I don't trust it at all. If Bitcoin dominance is going to be taking off, then this little blip, I want to be filtered out. I don't want to be jumping into it. I want these moving averages to keep me out. I want my downtrend line to I don't want to be jumping in and out of this trade for my own part until it gives me the breakout pattern. And what is the breakout pattern? Well, on the 4-hour bar, even we're not getting a moving average crossover. Where did we get that before? Way back here. We had to wait for it quite a long time. A few different times we had to wait for it to get that moving average crossover, the consolidation and the crossover. So I think I'll stand aside on this one, even though it may. This is a 1, 2, could be a number 3 point. If it breaks above here, that proves that it is number 1, 2, 3. You have to wait till it breaks above to actually prove out the whole bottom formation premise. If it's going to break out, that would be great. If you're going to trade this and you were wanting to, then the moment of the trade is a breakout of a consolidation that gives a nice clean triangle or a point. So it's still building up to one for me. It could be that you could buy here and maybe it'll be correct. You hold it if it's right, but it's not giving me enough of a point, a clean enough signal. So I'll watch it more and see if something shapes up. And if it takes off without me, then I can't trade it. I have to wait for that consolidation to shape up properly for me. And this is exactly when we did the study of those 184 trades from December, January, February, March. March, and most of all of them closed out in April. The majority of the trades that were losers were trades that were like this, because they were such small time frame. They were valid 1, 2, 3 bottom formations. We put our buy signals in, and they did break out of it. Many of them, they would go do something, and then they would break out of it. It looked great, but they really retraced back quickly, and then they continued on down. And so then they turned into losses in our paper trading, in the hypothetical stuff, because they hit our target entry and then we let it go all the way down to our emergency stop loss, which is not a good trading plan at all. That's not managing your losses at all. That's letting the market manage your losses. And the market's never going to be kind to you. So you've got to manage your losses. At any rate, this was the most difficult trade to get into. And after the study was all done, the trades that did the best were the ones that you waited the longest for and did the least amount of work on. And those were the ones that you waited this whole time until this exponential moving average crossed over. This let you have a chance to put the trade on. Then you had to wait for the 1, 2, 3 bottom. And this breakout was the only time that we had a good signal in this. Other than that, it came down to a point and then jumped off, down to a point and jumped off. And those point and jump patterns, I can't trade them. They don't give me the turnaround and the consolidation enough for me to make that decision. So those ones always get away from me. I just stay away from them. I always get hammered. I'm always jumping in and then it goes exactly opposite to me. So I like to wait for these longer term ones. Hey, Trator Hituto. My goodness, I have a hard time reading new names and I love it. It's a good brain exercise. And Crypto Homie says 13 EMA in the 270 moving average cross on the daily chart. Crossing on the Ether daily chart. I think that Ether daily chart is going to go crazy. It's going to go higher than most people are willing to predict because it's ridiculous. It's unthinkable. And I shared a link in our chat that I want to go and copy that. I think I closed it, so I have to open it up again. Paste and go. Let me put it in our chat here too. Where do you go? This link. This is going to tell you why I think Ethereum is going to do something that most people are not going to predict. So this is a link to the money visualizing how big is Bitcoin compared to money in the rest of the world. So all the world's money and markets in one visualization. This is silver. This is why it's so manipulated so easily. That's how big silver is. 17 billion. That's it. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. What? That's it? This is a little older. So Bitcoin is, I think, twice the size of this. Now, 2 of these blocks, we'll say. And the rest of the cryptocurrencies, here's Ethereum when it was at 28 billion. So I'm not sure how these relate to where it is now, but let's just take a scan through some of the world's biggest companies. Berkshire Hathaway, here's Apple, here's Microsoft compared to Bitcoin. And so if Bitcoin and everybody in the world starts buying into it en masse, and the institutions, they all start buying, these are just a few of the institutions. I think that Bitcoin will grow bigger than Apple to $1 trillion market cap way faster than we're expecting. Once it starts, it's going to go past $20,000 way faster than we're expecting. So here's the 50 richest people. They could buy every cryptocurrency in the world. California's gross domestic product, the federal bank sheet for the US, the currencies of the world. So here's China, the Eurozone, USA, Japan's currency. This is all the rest of the world's currencies. This is gold. And people are saying that Bitcoin is going to be more important, more central to the world's economy and to the store of value than gold is itself. If that's the case, look at how many squares there are here. How can we think about what Bitcoin price chart is going to do in order to get this big? There's going to have to be, all right, so if Bitcoin gets to $1 million each, it's going to take 1,000 days of Bitcoin going up $1,000 every day to achieve $1 million. Bitcoin has to go up $1,000 every single day for almost 3 full years in order to reach $1 million. So there's going to be some times where the Ethereum and Bitcoin prices are going to move so fast and so hard, it's unplannable, it's unexpectable. And this is the stock markets. Look at the size of just the stock markets. Bitcoin is going to be as big as the stock markets. Here's the global money supply. This is the narrow estimate. This is the broad estimate of all of the global money supply. And we're not done this chart yet. If we go down into the global debt, this is the developed market, and this is the emerging markets. Then we have the value of the global real estate, all of the real estate in the world here. Think of how Bitcoin was one of these squares, all of the real estate. And this is where it starts to get big. The derivatives, and I don't get it myself, the derivatives market, but look at the size of this. This is the low estimate. I don't know how many squares that is. And this is the high estimate. Insane. Keep scrolling. Yeah, keep scrolling, it says on the bottom side. Insane to think of how big the derivatives market is. So now what if 1% of the derivatives market turned its attention towards Bitcoin? We don't have the idea of managing something that massive. It doesn't fit into this price chart pattern. And so when we come back to what do I think is going to go on with some of these cryptocurrencies, let's go to Bitstamp, Bitfinex, get rid of the preferences and go to Ethereum US dollar, 5-year view. Ethereum is, from my own part, technology has its limitations. You can only do certain number of transactions, but there's nothing else. I don't know of anything else that is as established and has the many apps running on it as this network does. And so it wouldn't be inconceivable for it to make a run to the 50% level. But in the long term, as we're seeing through those money markets, just doing an estimate like this is nothing. It's not going to be at the hundreds of dollars per coin. It'll be in the several thousands of dollars per coin. Litecoin itself will go up to about $1,000 within the next 18 months. Just because we're starting to deal with that kind of size of money supply coming in from the rest of the world. All of these dots. It's crazy. Remember, and Rowan Ali says, remember, today is Monday. The big players will enter the market. So let's hope it pushes things for sure. So Ethereum, I'm watching for this to be taking off right to the $400, $500 level right now in the next couple weeks, in the very next short time frame. Really mimicking what Bitcoin has just recently done, this will start following along, I'm thinking. And then the other part of me says, well, wrong chart. The other part of me says, what's going on with Bitcoin dominance? If you look at the 5-year view of Bitcoin dominance, it has no support and resistance between this level and this level. So I'm expecting a run in Bitcoin dominance that'll just keep going and going and going as Bitcoin runs up and gets all of that kind of money that we just saw that is so big we can't even imagine it. None of us have experience with it. I don't know anybody who has experience with it and knowing what those numbers and how they move. How do you run that kind of derivatives market? I don't know it. And so I have no concept of that kind of money flowing in. And when it does, it feels like it's all going to be going into Bitcoin to begin with. And then from there, it'll leak out into the alts, and we'll have another phase like this where Bitcoin loses dominance as the altcoins, as money is pouring into the altcoins, coming into Bitcoin, pouring into the altcoins. And I don't know, except for human greed and fear, why it's pouring in stages like that instead of more of a steady trickle. You know, as money comes into Bitcoin, then it's just sort of leaking out into all the other altcoins. I don't know. With so many different avenues now to buy into cryptos from not just Bitcoin, but you can buy from fiat into all these different stable coins. There's so many different venues of money to come into cryptos. It's going to be crazy. Let's go to the 5-year view of the altcoin market cap. I review this regularly so that we go into the weekly view and we're watching what the volume is coming in from week to week. It's huge. And we haven't had the big run up in altcoins yet. We just had all of the institutions, it feels like, or it looks like the institutions all soaking up all of our coins because all of the bag holders are getting sick of it and they're, selling. The institutions are right there and taking up all that volume of selling. Not a problem. They're accumulating it as this is all building up here. So this looks like a bottom formation to me. We've got the supporting volume underneath it. And pretty soon that supply runs out. Everybody stops selling. And prices then start to do this. They start to go way up because the altcoins really have such a small piece of the world's money. It's important to keep this perspective in mind, how little our altcoins are compared to the derivatives market. Like we can scroll the entire page of uncountable billions of dollars there. Madness. And so when that starts turning its direction toward us, this Bitcoin is going to bloat faster than people are expecting. Ethereum is going to go into the thousands of dollars per coin, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 per coin, out of range of what anybody would have expected. Certainly in the summer of 2015, if somebody would have suggested a $7,000 Bitcoin, you would have been a laughing stock. You're a lunatic. You're way out there. So I do believe this is going to be way further than any lunatic has predicted. Maybe people have predicted the $1 million Bitcoin. I don't know if it'll go more crazy than that, but it's going to be doing the $1,000 in a day growth. So grab your Bitcoin. Don't be jumping in and out, trading recklessly. Really preserve your capital. Work on getting it out there for Bitcoin lending. If you live in some place that's outside of the United States where you can do that, put it out for lending. Work at making more money and buy more Bitcoin. So resistance at 7,100, and they will try to break that resistance. I don't think it's as strong as we're expecting. I don't think the resistance is as strong as we're thinking it's going to be. I think it's going to poke through that in no time. For the last many years, I've been doing these live streams, and I grew an audience and it shrunk, and I grew the audience and it shrunk at different times, and that's okay because I do these things mostly selfish reasons so that I improve my own trading, that I can go back and get better at it. But there was times in the past, I lost my train of thought here. Completely lost it. Okay. There were times in the past where I never watched anybody else's YouTube videos about the trading. I didn't want to watch their YouTube videos about what they thought the markets were going to do. I didn't want to see it. I wanted to take my trading plan and I wanted to practice it. And I wanted to go over the charts and make my decisions for myself. I didn't want to have any influence at all from a different YouTuber. And I especially didn't want to watch them and then, happen to say something similar to them. That would be coincidental. And so I never watched other people's videos. Recently, I started to watch people's videos so that I could learn what are they doing that is working so well for them, because there's a huge audience of people out there that are FOMO buying in and getting wrecked. And there's a whole bunch of people looking for an easier way to trade that takes less time. So I'm hoping that this will help people get out there by me watching other people's videos, learning what they're doing, and copying them, modeling them, because I have my own trading plan and I have my own indicators and I have my own method, I have my own approach, and it really works. So I'm happy to be staying with this approach, but I do want to learn from other streamers what they're doing well. And I really like Mitch Ray. He does a great job. I haven't, there's a couple other streamers. I watch them and I just can't spend a lot of time watching them, but they seem to do well. So now watching for top formation, really, when we're here, what we're here for is, where is this going to go? Is this going to top from here and come down, or is it going to be bullying up from here? I think it's going to be going up just from the long-term pattern, but I try, as much as I believe in what I'm thinking, I try to not think when it comes to the trading. When I do think it, I overthink it, and I undo my own trading plan sometimes, where I override my trading plan. And so this is one of the reasons I started these videos, is so that I would tell people what my trading plan is, give you a copy of my trading plan. You can go over to the website, digitalcurrencytraders.com, and get a copy of the trading plan. And then when you're watching, you can come to our Discord chat and you can say, hey, this fits into the trading plan right here. What do you think? And we can go over it. Say, yeah, well, this is great. This is, what you could do. Here's the things to watch out for. And when we're in this kind of thing and I'm doing a trade and you say, hey, that is breaking the moving average crossover, you should be getting out of your trade. You can call me on my failing trade, my not paying attention to my trade. Now, I just was reading the chat again here, and I'm going to change this chart. Let's edit this. 270 period moving average. I've got the 200 there. 270. And the 13 period exponential moving average. So this is a cross. Let's get an exponential moving average indicator, EMA. Okay, right there. And now we'll make this EMA, where'd it go? 13 period. Whoops. How many people here pay attention to a horoscope? So I'll make this red. Put it in the chat, yes or no. Do you listen to, do you watch, do you read horoscopes in the newspaper? What do you suggest having come out with an average price of $4,900? $4,900. No, you don't pay attention to horoscopes? Sometimes trading indicators are like horoscopes. You can just make them fit to whatever you want. You read a horoscope and it sounds great, but you're just fitting it to your life. And I find a lot of these indicators fit to your life, or fit as well. So when somebody gives you their indicators, it could be a very good pattern. This 270 and the 13 could be a very good pattern. And it may be just 2 days ago somebody went through and said, should it be 240? Should it be 220? Should it be 260? No, 270 matches and hits my thing. You know, you sort of adjust and adjust and adjust till you get something that matches, and you go, oh, there. This is confirming my bias. This is what I think it's going to go up, and this looks like it's going to go up. So I'm staying. I'm going to hold my position, even though it's a bit of a loss. I'm going to hold it because, and of course, you know it's not good if you're holding a bit of a loss and you're rationalizing it. And so what I do with this is, I have the same indicators that I use all the time, and I get used to them, and I get used to what their parameters are. And it doesn't matter what you set yours to, so long as you stay the same and you get used to it. And so I can close this one, and I can bring up my 60/20 exponential moving average. And this is one that I've done a whole whack of back testing on. Well, we can take a look at this in a second. This is the back testing, the bull market watch back testing. So I took this trading plan and I went through and I said, when that moving average crosses over, that's my entry. When it crosses over on the other side, that's my exit. I don't have to think about it. I can say entry, exit, entry, exit, entry, exit on these charts, just as easy as can be. And so I was able to go through and change my exponential moving averages to say, I want one that keeps me into the market more. And I don't have to be thinking all the way through this part. I don't have to sell out and get back in, sell out and get back in. I can just buy here, sell there, done. You know, it took me 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Perfect. Now my money's working for me and I'm not working for my money. My time is off doing something else. I'm playing outside. And I went through all of these bull markets and I really studied this pattern, and I tried different exponential moving averages, and it came down to that 60/20 seemed to work really well for the trends, keeping me in to them and getting me out in time too. Because if your exponential moving averages are too wide, then this happens. You get out way after the top. So this would have been, instead of 22,000, only 2,400%, it probably would have been 4,000-ish percentage if I would have used the 4-hour time frame for the exponential moving average crossover exit. And those are things that you fine tune in your own trading as you go along. And once you get it, you say, okay, these are my rules. When it does this, that, the other thing, and here, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to sit on my hands until that happens. And I like my system because when I do work it, all of the alts seem to turn into buying signals at the same time, so I get diversified. And when they're failing, they all seem to fail at the same time, so I can just get cleaned up and go to Bitcoin. This chart here now shows when we had an altcoin bull market and an altcoin bear market compared to the price of Bitcoin. And the key thing here with the altcoin bull market that we had from March of 2017 till the end of July, middle of July 2017, this was a period that altcoins and Bitcoin were going up together. So Bitcoin had made a bit of a run, that made a bit of a pullback, and at that pullback, things switched. That's when we had a switch, and Bitcoin started to go up and the altcoin started to go up with it. Then on the 17th or the 10th of July or something like that, we had a big move in Bitcoin, and there was another switch happened right there. And I was in denial for way too long that I should have just gone straight to Bitcoin completely. abandon all my alts, but I held them all the way along. So now we're trying to get smarter by going over this. Altcoins went into a bear market. They got crushed as Bitcoin went up, and Bitcoin dominance went up at the same time. Then Bitcoin topped. We had the nice, happy Bitcoin futures were available, and everybody started to short the daylights out of it. Altcoins went on a bit of a bull market here from December and January. So we had about 6 weeks of a bull market before it topped out. 6 weeks. Here we had 8, 9, 10 weeks, and it topped out. 10 weeks and it topped out. 6 weeks and it topped out. Here we had another 6 weeks or about 6 weeks in March to May of 2018. 6 weeks of a bull market. And then we had a bear market, bear. And then we had our 6 weeks of our bull market, about 6 weeks of it here from February 15th or so when it turned to green until May or April 1st. So there's another 6 weeks period that the alts were good to us. Now I'm thinking when we have our bear market come up, our bull market coming up next, it's going to be lasting longer than 6 weeks. I think we're going to have a wave and a wave and a wave. And I've been waiting for that all the way through along here. I thought this would be the first wave and that we would have a trend starting in the altcoins, but we didn't. We just had a wave for 6 or 8 weeks. And then Bitcoin had the trend and the altcoins had a wave and Bitcoin had a trend. It'll be time for the altcoins to have a trend. Because when that money starts to hit us, when all of this money starts to hit the crypto world, it's going to blow up like we've never thought of before. Look at this. This is the derivatives market. This is the low end of the estimate. 544 trillion national contract basis. Some people estimate that it is 1.2 quadrillion. Nobody really knows the exact market size. And when that attention starts turning towards these cryptocurrencies, we're going to see those $1,000 days in Bitcoin. We're going to see hundreds and hundreds of dollars days in Ethereum. So if you're not loaded up and you're not sitting on it, that would be a good idea. And I like the lending part of it. Let me go to... I put together a report on lending. When I first discovered this back in 2015, I thought it was a scam. I thought it was one of those things that you could lose all your Bitcoin with. And when I saw BitConnect, I read that and I thought, no way, I'm not even touching that. And I didn't. But this lending, as I read it, it started to make sense to me. And I thought, okay, I have to try it. I put a little bit of money into it and I was skeptical about it. But I started to understand why it works and why it's safe. And it's probably the best trading option, and it should be 60% of your crypto pie, where you have a range of cryptocurrencies and they are put into this lending for the next 5 years. And you do nothing with them for the next 5 years. Take a portion of the profits that you make out of some good trading. Hey, GBU Wally, good to have you along. Thank you for the $14.99 tip. You are definitely sponsoring some hot yoga. I appreciate it. So anyway, here's a pitch for the lending detail that I put together. Should be dancing on the screen here right away. 2, 3, 4. I don't know why my thing is not hooked up. Oh. I will double check on that, GB Wally. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm pitching my lending mini course. Here's a link to it, digitalcurrencytraders.com/lending. You can sign up for free, and there's a 5-port free training course that teaches you about lending on Poloniex, Bitfinex, and there's a few other platforms in there that I was surprised to have found. As I was doing the research for this, I was surprised that what you can do with your cryptos for lending. You can put your cryptos out. It's quite amazing. And there's nothing like that available in the real world financial market. These cryptos are really opening up cutting edge things that have never been available to the consumer before type of lending availability. So what I'm talking about there is where if I have 10 Bitcoin, I can put my 10 Bitcoin up onto this one service, and then I can take a fiat currency loan against my Bitcoin at incredibly great rates. So there's some pretty great ways to use your cryptocurrencies that are different than just lending it and having it grow. I really encourage you to check that out. And I want your feedback too. Jump into our Discord chat and let me know what you think about that training. If you find something else that does great for lending, I want to add that in. You bet fiat will be worthless and BTC will be the new gold. Fiat will be worthless. It'll be changed. It won't be worthless. They'll change it. They run it. They can make it. Oh, the government can do what they want. So there'll be some sort of digital government currency. And that's not bad. All right, Bitcoin, what are you doing? Zoom in. I think my chart's getting tired. This is Ethereum versus US dollar. And I'm very excited about this coin. I'm just can't wait to see this chart pattern take off because I love to identify an obvious chart pattern beforehand, especially with Bitcoin having just done it and given us this massive run. So I'm looking for some success stories afterwards. If this Ethereum tip on has been helpful for you and you find a way to fit it into your own trading plan and your own risk control rules, then that would be fantastic to hear of success stories and profit stories. People who sold out of all of their altcoins in early April. We had a couple guys in our community who sold out of all their altcoins in early April. Perfect. Their equity curve went up, way up. Now they're itching to get back into those cryptos because of the change. That's just an amazing value now. How you'd sold out there and now be rebuying could be just unbelievable opportunity. For my own part, I'm watching really carefully for what happened here on April the 1st. What happened there? Bitcoin did the big blast off, and all of the altcoins took a fit, and they all just immediately laid down. The more Bitcoin showed strength, the more the altcoins laid down. There's no new money coming into the altcoins. It's all going into Bitcoin. And then the traders who are holding and they see it coming down past historical lows, they're selling. The institutions are there to soak it up. We see that volume happening. So not only the money isn't pouring into the alts, and so they're staying still in their US dollar value, which means they go down versus Bitcoin, but they're staying still in their US dollar value. But now that they've come down to these levels, we have, people selling out of it because of the technical levels. It's just logical. And this is where I'm watching for the institutions to pick it up for sure. And for my own part now, of course, I'm waiting for the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation to shape up. So all of these coins, they have a long time to go. Look how long it took for these 1, 2, 3 bottoms to shape up. Last time we were coming down from a pretty big low. Certainly, it has to take the time look how far apart these exponential moving averages are. So just by the distance of how far apart they are, it takes 2 weeks of a bottom formation for the prices to give us a potential for a turnaround. So at least 2 weeks of a bottom, a consolidation, a little bit of a bump up and then pull back. And now we're ready to look for a trading signal that it has stopped all this noise where people are getting wrecked back and forth. And then we can pick it up when it's actually changing direction and going somewhere. So we're not trying to get into this wreck of noise, try to filter that stuff out. Just as it's leaving the station, then we get on. And then just as it's finishing, we get out. So this is, again, 6 weeks. That was it. Very disappointing. And then we have months of it going down. Eventually, it'll turn around. Eventually, we'll have this bottom. It'll stage up, and it'll be a trend, and it'll be going up and up and up, and it'll be crazy because we'll have some of those 10-time moves. So while it's setting up like this, there's going to be no 1, 2, 3 bottom formations for weeks. So the trading signals that we do are all pretty quiet right now as we're waiting for these markets to shape up. So while they are shaping up and they're making the 1, 2, 3 bottom formations, then our trading signals will be as it breaks out or consolidates, and we'll be looking to putting on part of our position and then adding on to it a little bit later. It's going to take it a while for that to shape up. And so while it's doing that, the only thing to watch is the main coins, really, and just leave these sit and do their thing. Let them have the time to do this consolidation. And it could be the very moment to get into these. It could be that if we zoom into this super close time frame, we're seeing this tiny little 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. But for me, that's just too much gambling. I got to wait for it to change directions more. It's going to be a long time. It's a bummer. Yes, the Celsius Network, Crypto Chick. Great to have you here. I actually have your testimonial on the website somewhere. And I appreciate having you back again. Celsius Network does give great lending and passive income for a whole bunch of different cryptocurrencies. And that is one of them in my lending report there. And I think I just got an email from them because I just discovered them and went and set them up, and then I put that into the report so that you guys could go in to set that up as well. And I'm getting email from them now saying, hey, you could be earning 7% interest right now on my coin just by leaving it there, and other people can take loans against it. I understand. But the greatest thing for me is that you can put your own crypto in there and take a fiat currency loan against it. And so my mind is immediately thinking, geez, I could put my Bitcoin in there. I could take out a loan and purchase a whole room full of hard drives and get them running on the storage network. Let's go see storage. Storage is pretty hurting. Okay, it did come down to new lows, so it was holding out pretty good. So anyway, I could buy all these hard drives, set them up on the storage network so that I'm renting out the hard drives and I'm earning storage coin. And then I could be cashing out a specific amount of that storage coin to pay off the loan. And then by the end of the year, the hard drives are completely paid off from the earnings from the hard drives themselves. And everything else after that is free. Everything else after that is just passive earnings. So this is something when I saw the Celsius network, I was going, Now you can take it's like leverage trading basically with very low interest rates. So if you've got any specific coins, looks like a buy to me. If you've got any, this looks like a buy to you, this chart pattern. Some people like that. And I can't argue against it. You know what? I have this coin here. I have a gold coin. I purchased it with Bitcoin, and I like it. I have it. It's in a plastic container, so it's like pretend gold almost. And I can flip this coin. Sell. Well, it'd be I could sell here, and then I could use my risk control rules that I would only hold it if it proved me correct. So I would hold this for half an hour. If it's not proved me correct, I get out of that trade. Flip the coin again. Buy. I buy it, and if it's not proven me correct within an hour or two, I would get out of the trade. If it is proven me correct, I would hold it. In fact, I would add on to it. I would buy more because it's proven me correct. And I've got a winning trading system. That's a winning trading system because I'm only holding the ones that prove me right, and I'm getting rid of the ones that are not proving me correct. Right? So you're not holding the ones that are losers. You're immediately getting rid of them within an hour. It doesn't matter if you're buying or selling. And you only hold the ones that are proving you correct, and you add on to it. You will win. You will win. You don't need any other trading expertise than that. You don't need a chart. You can just buy this gold from silvergoldbull.com, and away you go. You're set up for trading. They have over, if we look at the US, they have over $4 billion in debts. This is the US debt clock showing us the 22. Okay, I've got to go up. This is 100,000. This is millions. This is hundreds of millions. Is that right? 22 billion, 286 million. No. 22 trillion, 286 billion, 223 million, 400 and something thousand dollars debt. Pretty insane. I don't get it, actually. And I try not to make my brain smoke by trying to get it. But I am expecting that the precious metals are going to go up. And that right now, I just look over at silver prices. It's making a consolidation pattern, but not breaking out. I'm expecting the precious metals to go way up just because they're a store of value. Crazy with that debt. I don't really get it, but this $22 trillion that isn't there. Anyway, thank God for cryptocurrencies where it's electronic, but it's real. So I've got a few of my favorite coins that I want to just always look at. This was a favorite coin of mine. It was making a beautiful chart pattern. This was an absolute through the moon pattern, and just somebody just let the air out of the tire. It was building up to going to the moon. So here's another example maybe of what I am watching for in Ethereum, where with BitShares, I was said, oh, this is going to go to the moon. And when this blasted off and it was way up here, one of the guys in our Discord chat said, are you going to take profit? I said, no, this is just the beginning. I ended up making a little bit of profit, but nothing. If I'd have taken profit right when he asked that question, I would have made phenomenal. It was really a nice move. And then right straight back. So here's an example of a chart making a beautiful formation and fading off. So it may be that Ethereum may do that as well and go up later to the big extremes I'm expecting. And it may be that beautiful formation that it's building up in will turn out to be nothing. And that is something that we have to have a strategy for. The exponential moving average crossover on the 4-hour time frame for myself is a really important one. When this top formation shapes up and this exponential moving average crosses over, especially after this big wick down on the April 1st, that is the day. That's the moment right there for me. There's my action moment. It doesn't matter. If I think it's going to go higher, I've got to override my belief that I'm missing out on the next moon wave. I've got to take it. I can always readjust. I can always get back in. But this is a kick out for me now. Another market I want to look at because I jumped out of it too soon is clams. And I jumped out of this too soon, so I want to be sure that I'm waiting for that 4-hour crossover in the exponential moving averages. Here it crossed over, and it is nearly where I got out, but it crossed over again. Get back in, wait for it now. All the way along, it didn't cross. There's nothing to do but wait. The other way is to wait for the 12-hour exponential moving average crossover, which ends up losing money off the top. You get out, of course, after the top formation and the trend has changed, but it ends up losing a little bit of extra money. So I'm feathering out a little bit with the 4-hour exponential moving average crossover and then the 12-hour as my must get out. Let's see what's going on here. BTC is driving it down, so then it retraces. You profit on all. BTC price is driving all the alts down. So when it retraces, you will profit on the alts. That's why I find botting so profitable. It takes an emotionless actions on my behalf with the strategies I choose. And the alerts package that we have now will have email notifications going out with it. So we're going to experiment with it. I'm going to see if I can hook it up to a Telegram group broadcast. But I also want to hook it up to a bot, Professor Wally, so that my signals from this trading plan go out to a bot and it is traded because the trading plan, the alerts package, out-traded and outperformed my own trading because I overrode my exit signals. I said, no, I'm going to hold it. The alts are going to do an elastic band effect. They're going to come up with Bitcoin. And I held against my own exit signal. Whereas the trading alerts didn't. They didn't hold against the exit signal. I didn't care about it. It was just did it. And here's one. There's a sell signal here. And you just got to take it. You just got to do it. Even though if you're doubting it and thinking it should be going moon, it made the sell signal. Just got to do it. And profit is there. Now your exit, your stop loss could be below your entry and you're golden. You could just sit and let the market decide how correct you are. But those entries and those exits, you just got to do it. Yes, indeed. I know we've chatted before about your bot being able to do that. We were talking about it scraping the data from the spreadsheet. But I think that if the spreadsheet can send signals to the bot, that might be the same thing, only different. And I want to do it. Then people can subscribe to that bot through Professor Wally's bot service. Now, a MadeSafe coin is the worst traded market I ever traded. I lost tens of thousands of dollars on this one. Not a joke. Tens of thousands of dollars. Because I really believed in the project and didn't get educated enough about how far along they were for being ready to release. Really, when you get right down to it, they weren't ready to release the project at all. And every time it was a top formation, I was holding. Even this one, crazy. Holding my MadeSafe coin. So eventually this will pay off, but the formation isn't shaping up yet. They've made some announcements. They've talked about their roadmap. They are getting close to getting ready to launch and release, but there's so much negative news in the cryptos. They're only listed on a few small exchanges because they won't pay the exchange fee to be listed on some other exchanges. So MadeSafe coin is just not getting the exposure they should be yet. It's still a fantastic opportunity all through these years, even though it hasn't come to fruition yet. I still believe in it. I still believe. Not so much like Ripple. I'm not so much a believer in Ripple. I think I'm more of a believer in Stellar just because of the supply and demand and the projects that it's involved in. But really, these chart pattern certainly wasn't good for the last while. Now there's potential that it could be doing something, but this is no bottom formation that I can do anything with. We still have lower highs, lower lows. It probably is going to be blasting up, but it's not the trading formation I'm going to be jumping in on. It could be just a blip and then back down. So I'm going to wait. I may have to wait for more than 2 months for this market to do something and give a consolidation pattern that it can break out of to make a decision on. So we'll have to wait and see what's going on with these alts. It's kind of sad. But there's still lots to trade. Right now I'm more heavy into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin because of their patterns. And I think that they are all going to lead. Like as Bitcoin's going up, Ethereum and Litecoin are going to go along with it. I think they're going to go up with it. They haven't yet. We'll see. EOS. Haven't looked at the US dollar chart of this one for a while because it's really gotten hammered as Bitcoin went up. The EOS BTC chart really took a beating. So it's the same thing as with Ethereum. Like the same type of formation, the same size, and the same detail here where Bitcoin has made a big run up, but this has not. Like almost the same pattern. Can I look at the 2017 BTC? So we go to Bitstamp, 1 year. That's 1 year? Wow. I was expecting to pull back and see the top. This time it's going up fast and dropping a little, then 15K. Going up, pulling back, and then 15K. 15K is, we're all in for it for sure, but I'm just not seeing it because there's so many support and resistance levels. Pardon my use of the horoscope here, but it does match up to the 50% and the 38% levels for these support and resistance levels. Works up fantastic. So I would think that we blasted through this one with there was nothing there. It was a paper wall. I would expect that we've got to see some resistance at one of these coming up. It's just insane. It's fantastic. So I'll just continue to watch on the zoomed in level. But if I go back to that 2017 chart, what I wanted to look at, let me clear this off. Let's bring up these indicators because this is a really great top to study. Just with these three indicators. So what I see that jumps out at me right away is the divergence here in the RSI as it's making a double top here, or a higher high in Bitcoin. The RSI is making lower highs. At the same time, though, it's not a scale that we can appreciate as much. This second blow up here didn't have as much volume. So we had these indicators telling us that things are easing off even though the price is going up. This is running out of steam. And then the kicker is this did make a tiny little 1, 2, 3 formation right here. We're looking at the 1-day chart, but I'm going to zoom into that and we'll take a look at that 1, 2, 3 top formation. And it is the day after that that the crossover happened here on the daily and the histogram went negative. And then the selling really came in. So let's zoom in on that. 1 month view. Oh, all of their servers are busy right now. That doesn't happen often. But after an hour and a half of going over their charts and over their charts and over their charts, I think their server actually tells me to slow down. So we've got other charts. As I was looking at this morning, we identified this top formation as it was happening. It was awesome. We were looking at the indicators underneath and they were showing the divergence that was just perfect. It was all just a great setup for a short right there. Beautiful. Come up here right to resistance and then started to get weaker for the add-on to the short. And then, oh, that's enough. It's down to showing strength. Good enough. Close it, take that and watch. Now that it's bounced off of these levels, I think it's going to be bouncing and making another ascending wedge triangle. When we saw Litecoin do its run up, it did it in stages of ascending wedge triangles, and Bitcoin is doing much the same here, where we've got this big ascending wedge triangle here, and then it ran up. Now it's come back and consolidating. So let me scribble on this. An ascending wedge triangle right along these levels, and then up. So it should come back and make us sweat a few times before it gives us the breakout. It should come back and make us sweat a few times. And when it comes back to these levels, then I want to go into the other chart. Let's see if it'll come up for me now. Good. When it comes up into those levels, and we're starting to come back to where we're going to be sweating and wondering, is it going to break from there? Is it going to break from there? Is it going to break from there? That's when I'll be zooming into these indicators to see what are they telling us. So I wanted to zip back to the 1 hour time frame and go back and back and back. It takes a second to drag the chart all the way back there and let it load up. We're in the 1 hour time frame instead of the 1 day time frame. So remember this big wick up? Oh, that was so bullish. What a big flag. And then it just faded back. Nothing happened. Pulling back. Where are we now? March, February. Still got to go back more. There's 2018. Here's our top formation. Now I can zoom in on this, and you know it. we're seeing it. There's the top formation. There's our trend line. And it was a parabolic trend. So it started to go up higher and then higher and higher. And this is our top formation. Once this crossed over, that was it right from there. And we could see the divergences shaping up, even in the shorter time frame right in here. I love it. This is great. So as this is topping, we have a sharp divergence. This is going to negative. This is going to negative right at that top. And we had it here too, where it went negative, and this stayed negative as it came down and made a double bottom. It came back and made a sweat. Finally it broke. So when it's coming up and making these patterns, I want to be watching and expecting what may happen as we are consolidating to go up higher. This is what we're going to be watching for. These consolidations, every time it makes a top, if it comes up, makes a high, tries to go higher but fails, tries but fails, and now it breaks an uptrend line, I will be sending out notifications. I'll be putting it onto our Discord chat. I'll be sending it out by email. I'll probably go on a live stream, but maybe not. This is the most amazing stuff. Monday, November 2017. Monday, the 11th month. The 11th. Okay, so what you're asking then, I'm thinking, is that this was probably a fake down, like an exit point, where we are seeing the trend line. Is this correct? We're seeing this trend line. We're seeing the 1, 2, 3 top formation. We're seeing the breakdown. Then it comes down to these levels. We've got the negative stuff going on here. This is all going negative, and then it picks up and starts to go positive again. This is exactly what we're watching for right now. Very good. I'm glad you brought this up. Fantastic. Great to have you along. Because this is what we're looking at right now. We're having to see the moving average will cross over. It'll make a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and then it breaks above that 1, 2, 3 bottom. Like this becomes a whole new 1, 2, 3 bottom formation right there. It's short term, but it still was a failed retest of a recent low at significant historical levels. And so when that 4-hour or 1-hour exponential moving average crosses back over again, it's telling us that the trend isn't finished, that it was just a deep dip. And I can't switch as easily as I want to here, but if I could go out to different time frames, then you'll see why I step back to the 12-hour bar time frame and let that be the main part of my indicator of when to get out. Part of it, I'm trying to get out of like 30% of my position when the 4-hour exponential moving averages cross over. And then when the 12 hours, I get rid of the rest of my position. So yes, maybe today it'll happen again. Mondays, the big players went and they look at how they pushed the market. So this is a Monday that it came down to these lows and then things started to take off. It may be. It may be. And this is a really good example. Let me go to a different chart so I can leave that one there. Bitstamp. Zoom in. So this is a really parabolic move. This is really straight up. That's pretty crazy. And to go straighter up from here is just crazy. So I'm not looking to buy after a market's gone up like this. After it's gone up there's no buy signal on this. The only thing I'm looking for is when to take profit on it. There's no getting in, adding on, nothing on this. It's complete inaction on this kind of market. And the next kind of action point only can be after it pulls back and gives me a consolidation that takes probably 2 weeks to 3 weeks for this to shape up before it can give us a signal. because I'm waiting for the 12-hour exponential moving averages to cross over, which just makes it take longer. And you wait for the real momentum of the market instead of, like I've said before, not the wave of the market, but you're going with the tide of it. Yes, a log view will help see the real trend, just so that when we are looking at, say, the 5-year view, we can actually see the whole thing. Because when you're not doing it in log view, you can see that this gets all squished down so flat because of the relative change. And this is fantastic mathematics, because this is the way our eyes and our ears work as well too. We cannot hear a small quiet noise when there's a big loud noise going on. We just can't distinguish the difference, as well as if we use not an indicator but a detector or something. It can detect those small things. So I like this mathematics that brings it into perspective so that we can see the trends. And one thing that I've found in the cryptos is really powerful is these trend lines, the parallel trend lines. They are fantastic. When the parallel trend line breaks, something is changing. And you can put these parallel trend lines in all sorts of different places. So it still looks like it's going to be going up to the $9,400 level. And I was getting that feel from the weekly charts without the log view back here. I'm not sure the first day I said 9,400, but I just did the Fibonacci and said, well, 9,400 looks like it. And on the weeklies, it still looks like it's going to be going. Let's zoom into the 3-day. Now we're watching this pattern. So we're seeing the dumpage. It's not as deep as we saw here this year, where we had the top and it came back. It's staying a better trend line. It's respecting the trend line better than this one did. This was a tougher one to trade. When we go back to today, this seems to be respecting the trend line better and staying tighter on it so far. It didn't pull back into a deep enough, the same type of trend breaking, so that it's showing strength off of here. The RSI is stronger. On balance volume is getting stronger. MACD is looking good. This means I can sleep well tonight. I probably don't have to get up and look at the Bitcoin charts. And so let's leave it for tonight. I think this will take off. I'm super glad to have done these streams here through this weekend as things were topping out, and we're making these formations that fit along with the trading plan so well. And it's also really important to have gone over a little bit of these different alts and talk about what to do with them, which is a lot of nothing. Wow, wait a second. Yeah, so the time frame makes a huge difference. Here's Dash, and when I look back here at the 12-hour time frame, there's nothing to do. But when I zoom in and I zoom in more, and then a different trading plan can definitely use this. We've got the crossover, we've got the RSI going strong, we've got the on-balance volume shifting to positive. It is a 1, 2, 3 bottom, and on the 1-hour time frame, it's just about to cross over. You really could trade that and then use rule number 1 and rule number 2. The trouble for me is Bitcoin is about to take off more, and this is probably going to do a quick little blast, and then it's going to pull back and continue on its downtrend. If Bitcoin's going up more and the Bitcoin dominance is going to be going from the 58.7% into the 77, then Dash is nowhere near done going down. And I don't want to touch it, even though this is a trading signal. And you could trade it, and you could trade it profitably. I'm not going to. And I'll give you a high five. If you're making the profit on that, I want to hear about it. I want to celebrate that. The more you celebrate your successes, the more successes you have. So be grateful, celebrate your successes, and have gratitude for your successful trades. Now that you know this trading plan, be grateful for those successful trades even before they come in. Gratitude is the signal of receiving. It is giving the signal out to the universe that you already have it because you're feeling grateful. So feel grateful about your profits, and then you'll recognize them when they come in. If you're feeling fearful about your losses, you won't recognize your profits. You won't take them. So be sure that you are looking for that gratitude in your trading. Just be grateful for the opportunities that we have these days. Fantastic to have you along. I am grateful to have you here. And thank you very much for the chats and the questions. It's an awesome way to spend the evening here. We'll grow this as success comes along. And I'll leave you guys for now. Cheers and all the best in your cryptocurrency trading. Let me do the exit music. If you were sleeping, that probably woke you up. Cheers. Bye for now.